Hello everyone, this is LW Gaming and welcome to a brand new installment of Future Langrisser series. Today is the February 20th, 2024 edition. So you might be wondering why am I delaying this episode one more day. Well, it's because of the weird scheduling that we had in the CN chat, showing that we didn't get any of those important information about the next update yet for CN until now. Thankfully, Thankfully, we got enough information in time. Otherwise, we might not be able to get this out of the way. I mean, it's understandable because they're usually out for the holidays, like Chinese New Year, for example. Anyways, we got two new heroes coming to the game, and on top of that, there's also a new SP arriving to the game very soon in CN, and then soon to global when that time comes. So first up, we got the Tyrantel, one of the two new heroes. He's gonna be infantry and flyer class, and his role is a gimmick tank. So what I mean gimmick tank is that he's like any typical tank, but he does have some gimmicks involved around reincarnating himself. So what I mean by that is that when he dies, he becomes like a clone version of something. But once you're able to bring the like do whatever you like after you complete casting on a random any unit you have that are non-summon like any hero you have, so like when you cast it on them they will become Tyrantel, and this can only be done once. So when he dies again as a different hero, then yeah, he's basically dead completely. Or if you're able to finish him off from the clone, then yeah, that's also his doom. So yeah, some people say this is situational, but at the same time, this could also be like his weakness when it comes to the revival component of his. So like he needs to stay alive in order for this to work. Otherwise, he's not gonna be revived at all. And factions, he's gonna be part of Empire's Honor, Mythical Realm, and Langrisser Reincarnation Tensei. Next up, we got Tabriz. And with Tabriz, I don't know how you pronounce the name. I'm sorry I butchered it. So, anyways, Tabriz is the infantry and flyer class, and she is a bit of a underwhelming kind of DPS kind of unit because she involves debuffs. So you can imagine that this might not turn well for her because, in fact, that most of the meta teams nowadays have Rosen in there. You could tell that Rosen is gonna clear all that debuffs out without her trying to debuff them. So yeah, basically Tabriz heavily rely on the debuffs. So yeah, without that, she's pretty much useless. She's treated like any other flying unit or whichever DPS you have, which is not too good for her. But I'm not saying that she's a bad unit per se. It's just that she's gonna have a rough time when she comes out. So just that's what I'm trying to say. She is part of Princess Alliance, Strategic Masters, and Meteor Strike. And finally, we have SP Lanford. Yep, Lanford is the next hero getting SP, and his SP class is a flying class, and his role as a SP is a tank. So yep, we're getting another tank added to our ranks. So yep, it's nice to see. And also and also, in case you forgot what factions he's part of, he's part of ULS and Strategic Masters, and he is a faction buff for Strategic Masters. So yep, seeing Lanford in his SP is great and all, but we'll see how it goes from that point. Will we be getting more SP for sure, but we're not sure who's gonna get next after Lanford. Time will tell. Alright, next up, let's talk about the casting pattern skills, the new ones that we got for this batch. First one we got is D-Heart. Attack plus 5% when there are 2 or more female allies on the field. After using the skill to kill the enemy, the cooldown of the skill is reduced by 3 turns. So that sounds pretty nice on paper, but as long as you have 2 allies on the field and you're able to score a kill with any skills you have, like Calamity or his 3C, they will be the cooldown will be reduced by 3 turns, which is pretty huge, don't you think? So that means you should be able to get that skill back faster than you normally would. Next up, let's talk about Evil God Kruger's casting. Skill damage plus 10%. When using Evil Overwhelming Skill, which is its 3C, you can apply one more enemy unit, which allows you to be able to curse two enemies at once. So yeah, his 3C is going to get a huge improvement when it comes to like who you want to curse. Well, with this casting, you get to choose up to two enemies, so that's pretty nice. But a lot of people say is that this might not bring him back into meta teams or whatever. But having this casting is great for him because for the fact that you can curse more units now with this. And I can imagine Rosen is going to have a rough time dealing with him. But it mostly depends on the situation. So if she was able to put the crystal barrier on your allies before he even cursed anyone, well, that's a different story because Kruger's 3C is preventable. So if they already got crystal barrier, they are not gonna get cursed because that's considered 1 debuff. So yeah, you can see that might not be great for Kruger, but other than that, it mostly depends on the situation. So if you ban Rosen already and they have nothing to prevent the curse, then yeah, you're pretty much good. Next up, we got Cortez. Cortez is a Soul Seal, will last one additional turn. For each enemy on the battlefield that has Soul Seal applied by an ally or yourself, of course, the unit's attack range is increased by 1, up to a maximum of 2. So yeah, this one is actually pretty good, pretty straightforward. But I'm not saying that it's probably going to be meta wise, but I could tell Cortez is going to have an easier time with this casting pattern skill enabled. So like if he has like if you had two enemies with a soul seal applied to them, he gets to attack from 4 blocks, which is pretty insane. If your Cortez is a mage or demon, depending on which class you chose for him. Although yes, Cortez surprisingly have a Lancer class, but that's not what people will build him as. But just to give you a heads up, if you think about like what's going on with Cortez's classes, last time whenever Zilong made a quiz about Cortez, I was a bit thrown off by it because I didn't know Cortez even has a Lancer class. Anyways, I'm getting a little off topic, but anyways, moving on. Last but not least, we got Melania. Healing effect plus 10%. When an ally has 3 stacks of merit, which is the 3C buff from her, unit receives an additional effect. When guarding, attacks first. So yep, straightforward. As long as your unit is guarding, like it doesn't matter if it's like Melania's the guard thing or your natural guard skill. As long as you have 3 merits on you, you will attack first all the time. So yeah, this is great for Melania. Even though despite an SR unit, this could actually help your team a lot. She will fit in with almost any team as long as it has a tank in it. So yeah, will she be getting the meta? Maybe not, but however, it is pretty good for the buff here. So yeah, basically it grants any tank in general like that. You can think of like this with like Lightbringer for example. Lightbringer lacks first strike, unlike Christian. With this skill, like with this casting skill here, Lightbringer could be a really powerful tank. Like Lightbringer will always do first strike as long as she has 3 merits. So yeah, you can imagine Melania is gonna open up a lot of possibilities with this. And after seeing this, I might consider bringing her somewhere. Well, of course, enjoying battles, but we'll see how it goes from that point. All right, moving on. Let's talk about exclusive equipment. This time it goes to the limited character named Captain Mac, which I don't know if a lot of people have this character, but I know many of us have this by now as a 6 stars because in the event of like the Legend of Almeida event, where everyone gets to get him at 6 stars right off the bat. So that's pretty nice of Xenon Games to provide us some shards, just enough to get him to 6 stars. But if you don't have him at 6 stars for whatever reason, then I don't know what you're doing. But there's thankfully he does have Gate of Fate, so yeah, you're not missing out on anything here. So, anyways, Captain Mac has a exclusive which is the headwear. HP plus 10% ignores skill costs. When allies within range of route marker actively attack and deal damage, they steal one buff from the enemy after attacking and applying one random buff to Captain Mac himself. So yeah, you could tell that this headwear is probably the first that grants your unit like ignore skill costs. Although I gotta say this is nothing new, but it's just that this is new in the exclusive standpoint. So like what I mean nothing new is that other characters like SP Matthew, SP Leon, they have that built in their talent, and I think SP Bernhardt as well. So yeah, you could think of this like making him like an SP in some ways, but he's not SP. So just to let you know about that. And also the other part of his exclusive is that he allows allies that they hit steal a buff from the enemy, which can be a good thing per se. But the thing is, if the buff that you stole is a guard skill, then yeah, that's gonna be a funny moment there because for one, your mage is gonna be tanking your like whichever your character steals, they'll become tanks. Depending on how severe it is, it could turn out good in your favor, but at the same time, it could end horribly. I gotta say, like for example, if you have a mage that stole a guard skill, then yikes. You could already tell that that mage is gonna be guarding your units for no reason whatsoever, other than getting herself hit up by a lot. So yeah, you don't want your mage to steal that kind of buff. You want your physical unit that are strong enough to take it. Otherwise, it's not gonna go well. And finally, before we close off this episode, there's some reminder I want to inform you about when it comes to banners and other things. So there's a new radar banner for Patricia and Andrio. There's also a new Destiny banner for Hoffman, Wandering Duelist, and Nymph. There's also a Uleste Destiny banner for Lanford, Shalfano, and Varash. We also have the classic Destiny banner for Rachel, Lana, and Tiaris. And the first time I'll be talking about is the new confession for this update is for Isolde. So usually I wouldn't cover this for CN News, but for this occasion I already knew who it is, so I decided to put it here as an honorable mention. And let me know if you want me to keep talking about the confessions for the upcoming updates. I'll happy to hear what you suggest. If not and stay back to the original, then that's totally fine. But honestly, let me know. Anyways, that's about it for this episode. Hope y'all find this video informative, and I'll see y'all next time.